morning, Muscatine. Oh, you'd think by now I would be used to going live and not get distracted right before Chris says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It doesn't happen. I don't think it ever will. I mean, that's the problem with being downtown. Like, somebody's always walking in, walking by something, and I'm kind of have that squirrel function where I can't not look or say anything. But anyway, hope you guys had a good weekend. We were down at Kent Stein and Tom Bruner a lot at the end of last week. We had the girls for one game Friday night. Well, we had the boys for a doubleheader on Thursday, the girls Friday, and then 2 Saturday morning. Girls swept all 3, played tremendously well. Coincidentally, there's a former one sitting next to me. Not on purpose or anything, just a happy coincidence.
And I have to say, I get super proud of Mara too, because I give her lessons, and for like the last 7 years. So, yes.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. So let's talk about this for a minute. We're going to totally go off the rails because that's just what we do here. So, the girls, in some ways, it's a transition year, right? But not really. Transition years.
They're very young still.
Yeah. Transition years for Muscatine and softball are just like a different way of reloading.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Mara, I'd have to say she's like 1A, 1B for best pitcher in the state.
Yes.
And you have a connection?
I've given her lessons since she was 11, so.
Well, you should take all the credit.
No, I give none of the credit. She has all the talent, so.
That says a lot about your teaching, though, with it.
Well,
she's just awesome. She's a great kid.
They are, and I posted this on, I think it was Friday night after the game. They had a bunch of the young girl softball players down there. So before the game, the crazy thing happens. I get a text message at 4 o'clock from Coach Hay, and she says, "Hey, you know the game's at 5 o'clock, right?" I'm like, "No." Apparently JV wasn't going to play something, so they moved it up, and I didn't get the thing. So we're playing it for 7, 4 o'clock. We're like flying
Scrambling.
down. Right. So I called back down, and Becca answered the phone, and I'm like, "Hey, could you see if there's someone down there that could help me unload to get the cameras out and stuff, just so we can be ready?" And she's like, "Yeah, we'll help if you need it." And I'm like, "You guys, no, like I just need like one set of hands." I back up, and those girls are amazing. I back up with the gear, and literally the entire team comes walking out of the dugout to grab stuff to help us get ready to broadcast. And it took like one trip from 3 of them, and it was done. But I mean, it was absolutely great. And then after the game, they set up like 3 or 4 tables. They got the annual softball poster, and they were all signing it for all the girls, and it shows
cool.
what softball is in this town. I mean, it's a tradition like none other. It's a force like none other. So anyway, that's our little apparent
Go
segue.
Muskies, right?
Yeah, go Muskies, exactly. We'll be back down. Well, wait, no, the girls aren't here for
a while.
I'd have to double check the schedule. We've got the boys this week, but the girls will be back.
Yeah.
But that's not actually what you're here to talk about.
No.
Like totally off the rails.
We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, but
the question is, does anybody care what Chris thinks? The answer is generally no. So let's do this. Let's try and like totally reset here. Okay. So something a lot of people don't realize, and this is not just Muscatine, this is in a lot of communities. Some of the biggest needs, that people always think about for families that are facing a tough time is usually like housing, food, some of those big things. One of the things that often doesn't necessarily get attention is where the kids are going to sleep, right? Which is super ridiculously important. Like, we all know that sleep contributes to great, like it's just off the charts crazy what it connects to, right? So, you guys saw the need, and let's just do this. Let's have you guys introduce yourselves, since we're totally going out of order. Let's have you guys introduce yourself, and then Sleep in Heavenly Peace, a little bit about how you guys got connected with it, and like what you guys are going to do, and then we'll talk about some of the cool stuff that they actually do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, well, my name is Sarah Walsh, and I was a teacher here in the district for, I think, 8 years. My connection's actually very easy because my father-in-law started a chapter of Sleep in Heavenly Peace on the other side of Iowa in Union County, probably about 3 years ago. And so my husband and I have known about this and have helped them out with different things and heard the stories. My husband went on deliveries. I purchased a lot of bedding. We kind of heard a lot of stories, heard the need there. And we just talked about it so much that finally we were kind of like, okay, this might be something that at some point we can start here. But at the time, well, it was during COVID, and I was working and teaching full time, and now I've kind of backed off on some of my responsibilities, so I have a little bit more time. And Stephanie is my physical therapist and friend, and so you had heard about it too, right?
Yeah, I'd heard about it, and then you had brought it up.
Tell everybody who you
Oh,
are.
I'm sorry.
Without like the uniform and stuff on, you may not recognize her.
I'm Stephanie Aguero Miller. I'm a physical therapist at Rock Valley Physical Therapy, and then so I was treating Sarah. She was talking about this, and I obviously know there's a need. My mom was a guidance counselor in the district for 35 years or whatever, and so had always heard stories. Mm-hmm. But then I realized there was a connection closer to me that was in need, and then I was like, okay, Sarah, like you mentioned this, but like let's do it. Like we're gonna jump in with 2 feet and get this going. Yeah. And so we started at the beginning of the year. We opened the chapter, and then in April, she and I went to training in Utah. Yep. 2 days of super intense, like learn the ropes, because this is a nationwide 501c3 organization, and so we opened a local Muscatine chapter, knowing that nationwide 3% of children are sleeping on something other than a bed. And most likely in Muscatine County and Muscatine city limits, it's much higher than that. There's a huge need for beds, and it's just very simple. The only thing we're tackling is children sleeping in a bed.
Yeah, and that's so, and it's a really neat way that you do it compared to a lot of others.
Right.
So, a lot of organizations, and I've actually seen this happen in Muscatine, where there was somebody who needed to be in an apartment over the weekend, kind of an emergency change of location sort of thing, and they needed a bed for one of the kids. A phone call was made to a local, and they handled it, and they said, go get one and make it happen, whatever, send us the bill. And an amazing way Muscatine works, right?
Right.
But imagine if we, got ahead of the curve a little bit and actually identified the need before it landed, right? Yep. And had a way to solve it. And that's basically what you guys are doing.
And from what we know, the beds are one of the most highly asked for items through the shelter.
And the hardest to
get.
Right.
And so beds are kind of expensive. Like we're at the age where our daughter that we're like looking for bed sets and stuff, moving her from the crib, and like it's a hard, it's expensive to find a bed and a mattress and all the things that go into a bed. And with our organization, when you apply for a bed, the only requirements is that you're between the ages of 3 and 17 and you're not sleeping in a bed. So then we, through the application process, vet that through, and then we deliver a bed, a mattress, and a full bed set to a child who's not sleeping in a bed.
Yep. And so the part that I was alluding to that's really cool about this is, where do the beds come from?
Oh, they're built like from raw lumber, literally from raw lumber. Yeah. That's the really neat part about it, is that there's some sweat involved in this, and there's a community involvement. That's the biggest thing for us, is like, someone could donate a bed, someone could donate money and never really know how the process works. But in our case, someone donates their time or money or bedding or a mattress or whatever, and we are literally going from 2x4s and 2x6s to delivering a full bed to a child within, turnaround time as soon as possible. Right,
and that's what I love about it from like the business community effectiveness side, is the use of dollars is amazing, right? Because you're not buying a pre-assembled thing, and beds, I've got a little bit of skill with that side of stuff, and beds aren't that hard to make if you're keeping it simple.
And you absolutely need no skill whatsoever to make these beds.
No, that's
we
true.
will guide you through the process. We don't know how to do anything with tools, but we can do most of the things.
Yeah, it's not, and that's funny. Like this was like a couple years ago when we were doing a float for the homecoming parade for Mulberry. We went out and had like the 5th graders out helping us use the power tools, right?
Yes.
Of course, very safely, very
Yep.
OSHA, like it was fine. And it was PTO, not school, so don't make any phone calls. But it isn't really that hard once you get over that first step,
And,
right?
and really, we have we've learned the process, and we have a very efficient process, right? Like so inefficient in that it takes manpower and a lot of people to take this wood through the steps, right? But efficient in that, like, it's very thought out how it goes. So it starts with raw wood, gets uses the saw, cuts down into size. It goes to a jig where we just, so we have some guide holes. We don't have to
jig,
measure.
look at
Yeah,
that.
we have so many jigs.
Yeah.
Jigs
We
are
were making it
Ask
as
us if we knew what a
easy
jig
as
was
possible.
about 3 months,
months
ago.
ago.
No, but really, you don't have to be precise in measurement. We've
No.
done all that
Yeah.
easy. So you just, you use a mallet. It goes to the drill press. It goes to the sander. It goes to the headboard station, the dip station. Like from there,
Stains.
it's a full assembly line.
It
It's an
is.
assembly
It's
line.
literally an assembly line.
And
is
that's
what we're doing.
that's the effective way to do it. Because like, here's
Yes.
the thing, could I go, if you handed me the plans, could I go make one of those beds
Yes.
with what I've got? Yeah,
Yes.
I've got chop saws at home, I've got sanders, whatever. It would take me forever to do it independently,
Right.
Because
that-
I'm digging my stuff out,
And even so, how it even started was the gentleman who started SHP, Luke Mickelson. He identified a need and said, "Hey, buddies, like come to my garage."
Yep.
And I mean, they didn't have the same process down, but it was a bunch of friends getting together and building some beds and then taking them out in their community. So it's really just grown from in your garage building a bed to the community involvement.
Well, and when you look at the time and effort, if you get, because this is what we kind of did, if you get 2 or 3 people doing individual steps, you don't hold up things, right? Like, and you can, if people are cross-trained a little bit, they can flex to where, like, if something gets held up here, they can go help, or if something goes right. And you keep the whole process going, and so it takes your total tack time down for each bed.
And so when we have a community build, which we have one coming up on June 24th,
Plug in.
First plug.
Almost like we were setting up for that, folks.
I was taking the bait, right? No, but once we have our first community build, we have a core team of individuals made up almost about 20 people, and most have been through the build process. So our core team will lead people through the build. So you have to have no experience necessary. If you want to use the drill press, we will teach you. If you want to use the sanders, we will teach you.
Drill presses are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have four different.
Yes. And
bits
so
on 'em.
you can come, even if you have no experience at all, if you have children who want to come, there's something for everyone
Flat
that we
stations,
can do.
yeah, I mean, kids can help with, getting wood from place to place, or help with sanding, or the slat station with staplers. There's lots of things that kids can do. There's like littler kids that will help.
Yeah.
They can help give the screws and organize the screws into our bundles for
that's-
deliveries. Little kids love organizing things into sets of 20 or 10.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, we've remodeled things, like we built our house, we did this building, right? The one thing, when you're the one doing the thing, you have no idea how appreciated the people that can keep your hand full of things are,
Yes.
right? Because you can keep going, and every time you stop, it just, but if you've got like the support team, and kids are perfect for that.
Yes,
Like,
and Wyatt's
had to do it a ton.
Yeah, so within the build, we have something for everyone.
Yes.
Even if you don't want to use a power tool, there's something that you can do. And if you aren't really into building, but you want to do something to contribute, our delivery team would be a great option as well.
So, how many, like, we got a bed build, how many are we going to make?
Well, it depends. So
what's it look like?
Yeah, so it takes we estimate 2 to 3 people per bed. So depending on how many volunteers we have, kind of gives us an idea of how many beds we can churn out.
Okay. Do we know how many beds we need?
In this town?
Okay.
Somewhere between 700 and 1,200 is what I calculated. In Muscatine city limits, and then in like the county, there's you think about every classroom of kids. If there's 30 kids, or if in one grade there's 100 kids, there's at least 3 kids sleeping on the floor.
All right. Well, no, and I was expecting that on the big scale. Yeah. Okay, let me rephrase that. Do you have a number of them that you
So,
have like readily identified?
As of right, no.
Yes.
Because we haven't built any beds, our applications are currently not open.
Oh, got it. Okay,
We
gotcha.
built beds this
Well,
last
well,
week.
we
had
did, but we
beds.
haven't
Beds,
opened
right.
our.
Right,
But
yeah,
once
yeah,
we
yeah.
have an inventory, then we can open our applications.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
But we already
So we're
know,
gonna
we
build
have been
first.
contacted by a lot of social services groups about kids ready needing beds, and they've identified a bunch. So, I mean, we need a lot.
Let's
of
just
beds.
plan that
We're
it's going to
nervous.
be a while.
Yeah. Well, we're hopefully we're looking at July 1st for starting deliveries.
Well, no, I meant it's going to be a while that we're going to need to be building beds.
Oh,
Oh,
forever.
absolutely.
Forever.
I mean, it will be a forever thing because you're always
Well,
having
right.
kids that
Yeah,
come
yeah,
of age
yeah.
and people moving in.
Yes.
I mean, even the practices that have existed or the chapters that have existed for 10 years are still delivering
Oh,
beds
absolutely.
and in small towns. I mean, big cities, it's just, we have a huge need here. We know that there's a lot that already need it. We know that we already have kind of a wait list for the applications.
And we are actually starting small, so we're starting in just the 52761 zip code.
Right.
But ideally, as we get more volunteers, more money, more bed inventory, we want to expand to the entire county.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, Sarah's email and phone
Yes.
number are scrolling around the bottom of the screen.
Yes.
But you've also got a Facebook page,
Yep.
which just type in Sleep in Heavenly Peace Muscatine.
Yeah.
And we'll tag them, of course.
Yep, and that's one of the quickest ways to be emailing Sarah. The phone number is like a nationwide number,
Yeah.
so that's not super easy to get to a hold of us. Emailing Sarah or messaging our Facebook page is actually probably the quickest
Yep.
way to get a hold of
Yeah,
us.
you'll get a response within an hour
Yeah.
probably or so.
Yeah.
We're pretty quick.
So,
team.
if there was one or two things that you really wanted people to know that we haven't touched on, what would it be?
Well, I think right now money is something that we do need. We're lucky that we have enough of the tools and resources and lumber that we have for 20 beds. So
Okay.
we have 20 beds worth. We actually have had several beds delivered to us in full beds. So we have right now probably 10 or so made beds.
Gotcha.
Fully made beds. We still have to stain a lot of them. And then we have another probably 15 to 20 beds worth of lumber
Gotcha.
to use. But our big ask right now is money for mattresses. Which you guys can look on our Facebook page. You'll see some links to different mattresses there. It's also easy to just donate money because we can actually order through headquarters
Right.
mattresses at a cheaper cost often.
Yep.
So if we get money for mattresses, because we can't deliver any of these beds until we get mattresses,
full
and we
set.
only have a small number right now. So yeah, so we need twin size mattresses, and then just basically money for donations is another thing because we can't build unless we have money to
Right.
buy the lumber, and as everyone knows, lumber is extremely expensive right now, and we're very lucky that we have partnerships and we have discounts with Lowe's and some other avenues to get lumber, but we still need
And then
money
if you
for that.
have thoughts of groups, if you're part of a group, if you're a part of a quilting group or a blanket making group, we will accept those, but everything else has to be brand new. We can't accept anything that has been pre-owned. But groups that, we've been contacted by a couple different groups about like scouts and the robotics team that want to help with the builds. So if you have any ideas about like your group wants to volunteer with us, reach out and we can hook you up with our builds or our delivery team or anything that you would like to do to help. We are accepting everything.
Yes. And the last thing I guess I would say is companies. So if you're affiliated with a company or you own or run a company, a lot of SHP builds get run through company-sponsored builds. So we have one of those coming up in October, and having company-sponsored builds is another way for us to turn out lots of beds.
Typically that would be in-house for employees, and then so the company would help us fund the build, and then we turn out a lot of beds really quickly using their employees.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to volunteer, and if you have any questions, just like we said, contact us.
Gotcha. So you need money.
We need money.
You need
People.
lumber, people. What else?
Manpower.
I think
Do you need tools? Do you
no,
need,
I think
We're always going to need
We're always
tools.
needing
So
tools.
if anyone has,
We have an Amazon wish list linked onto our Facebook
Gotcha.
and
Yep.
onto our website.
Yep.
That
We
has
always
tools.
will need simple things too, like vinegar. Our stain is made from a vinegar. It's like a rust solution.
It is. It's
made with steel wool and vinegar. Because it creates a
Yeah,
and
okay.
it
It
helps-
repels insects.
Yeah, it
repels.
does. Yeah,
Bed
that,
bugs,
yeah, it would.
bed bugs, yeah.
The steel wood, yeah.
Yeah, so that actually is one of the reasons why we use that, and it's also super quick drying, so we
Yes.
can make a bed same day, and then that can be delivered the same day
Gotcha.
if that's what we had
Yeah.
planned.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So quick
So many-
recap. There's a build coming up. Check it out.
Yes.
Help with whatever you can. I mean, to be quite honest, like it doesn't take a lot of skills.
No.
Like, it doesn't.
No.
like,
Anyone
no.
that knows me knows that if I can do it, then that's like my slogan I'm going around town with. Because people are shocked, you know? They're like, it's surprising, you know, because
Yeah.
I've never held a tool in my life and I'm doing
Well,
this.
I have
so.
video of her using the saw.
Crying.
I feel like that could be like a good little. We might have to stop out at the next build, see what we can get. But-
And if you have interest in volunteering, please contact our Facebook page. We also have an email that we can post on our Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way. Just reach out, and then we don't have a location set yet for June 24th, but keep your eyes peeled for that because
Yeah.
we're hoping to lock that in.
It'll be dependent on weather and number of volunteers.
And we'll have it on the community calendar. Margaret wrote an article about it, which we'll link to down in the comments and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to find them. If you can't find them, you're not trying. So, holy cow. Well, thanks for stopping in.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you
and
for inviting
keep that-
us.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is
absolutely.
great.
Hopefully we can come back in a year and we've delivered 150
delivered,
beds
yeah.
or something awesome,
Yeah,
you know?
that sounds like a plan. And just keep sending us pictures as you're building
Oh,
them. and send them-
absolutely.
Yeah, keep sending them over.
Yes, okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
We can do that.
Thanks for stopping in. We'll be right back with the folks from Susan Clark, who are going to have a new $100,000 fitness center.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's a thing. So we'll be right back.
Have you heard the littlest things can make the biggest difference? Every day, bigs and littles are connecting in our community. Their time together can look a little different, but the goals and outcomes are the same. Littles are building confidence, forming better relationships, a sense of belonging, and achieving big goals. But there are more kids just like me who are still waiting. Will you join us in making more matches possible? Support Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
We are looking for a zero-turn lawnmower.
At Hustler Turf, quality matters,
Can I test drive that one?
In the store?
even in the buying experience. We know you want to buy from someone who knows what they're talking
We're
about.
looking for a zero-turn mower.
Like this guy.
First thing you need to know is what's the size of your property? Are there any obstacles?
Head to your local Hustler dealer and talk to a lawnmower expert.
Stop in to Muscatine Lawn and Power at 2020 Stewart Road to see Hustler quality for yourself.
We just don't work out in a single plane of motion.
River Rehab Physical Therapy. Feel better, move forward.
It's time for an update from the Not So Late Show with Austin, brought to you by Unity Point Health.
Listen up, everyone. I've got some news. Things are still kind of crazy out there, and the pandemic is still going on. And it's hard to keep people healthy. And right now, things are really tough for healthcare workers. There are a lot of people needing help with their health. They're working very hard. They're tired. And they are working extra shifts. Well, that would be like when you just get right out of school. You have to go back and do it all over again. So there's something you need to know. It's time to be kind. Healthcare workers are doing the best they can to help you. They just need your help too. Take care of yourself however you can with your vaccinations and your healthy habits. But if you get sick, go see your doctor. If you have to wait, be patient. Be a patient. They're real people just like you. And do you know why they're working so hard? For you. So show them a little love, or at least a little bit of kindness. That's one way we can all feel better. Okay, that's all I've got, everyone. Stay safe out there and remember to be kind to healthcare workers.
This has been a special update from the Not So Late Show with Austin. Good night. We'll see you next time.
You guys always miss the funniest stuff during the commercial breaks. You should have seen those two trying to carry a chop saw out of here. It was kind of funny. Another example of Muscatine finding the way to get what it needs from outside the community just happened last week, I think it was. Was it? Well, no.
We've known for a little bit.
Right,
yeah.
but it's really started coming out too.
Yeah.
All right. I love you guys. If you don't have a Margaret, you need to get a Margaret, because like you can literally just be talking about something, and from out of the corner of your eye, you get these like signals that tell you the actual right answer, so you don't have to make it up. If you don't have a Margaret, you can't have mine. But so, if you guys could introduce yourselves real quick and kind of what you do at Susan Clark, and then we'll talk about how this whole thing sort of came to be.
Sure. I'm Katie Hyink. I have taught PE at Susan Clark, formerly West, for 11 years. This was my 11th year, and I am also the athletic director in the building.
So that means you get to put up with Mr. Dillon then too, right?
All day, every day.
Hi, Clay. Shout out.
So my name is Jen Fridley. I have been the assistant principal the last 3 years, and on July 1st, actually board meeting tonight, hopefully the approval will come across that I will be the new principal at Susan Clark for the 23-24 school year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You'll do well.
Thank you. I'm super excited about
You
that.
also can see her, she's the one that gets to lead the 8th grade recognition ceremony. And it's, I'll tell you, it's almost harder to do than the real graduation, because 8th graders are 8th graders. We'll just say that.
They are.
Okay?
They are.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, we were all that way. Like, it's not it's not a curse. Like, we were all there, but we do it every year, and I'm glad you guys do what you do, because
we know how to handle them.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And I'm sure they're all good kids. It's
They
just
are, and we want to recognize them, the years they spent with us. You know, we have a hard time finding space to, we'd love to bring in the parents, but we just don't have the space, and so we're always encouraging everybody that this is a recognition for them, and graduation is really for the high school, and so we really actually like doing it the way we do it.
Yeah.
It's all the kids get to experience walking across the stage, but the parents aren't there because we can't fit them in.
No, and that's what's funny. Like, somebody asked me, well, why don't they do it in person? I'm like, we actually at the end, I don't know if you noticed this, we actually took one of the cameras and panned it around the back.
You did,
just because I had somebody, I'm like, this is why, because there's literally no room. You put the 8th graders in there, there's,
no room.
You'd be,
right.
So.
And I mean, there's things we could do. We could bus the kids all the way to the high school, but that's really a special event for them at high school.
And this is great. They get to see all the nice messages that people put. It's awesome. But anyway, that's awesome. Little side note, go watch it. It's actually kind of cute.
Yeah.
So the facility's been reworked several times in the last 5-7-ish years, as there's an addition and central closes, and you guys land and you get everybody. And for those that don't know, middle school here used to be 6, 7, and 8, but it's just 7 and 8 now.
Yep.
And so obviously there was a need, right? So what was the big need you guys had?
Our biggest need is space, and it just, the few months that we have when the weather is nice, we do a great job of getting our kids outside. We have awesome field space at Susan Clark out back, and we use that quite a bit. But when we're stuck in the gym all winter long, as you said, 7th and 8th graders are 7th and 8th graders, and it gets to be a lot some days, and they just need something else. And we do have that small gym space that we can use a few periods of the day, but it's also being utilized as cafeteria space.
Right.
So it's not usable after a certain point in the day because there's lunches and it needs cleaned. So that was one big reason. And then really I just, I've worked with DJ Hawkins at the high school for a long time. He was actually a former teacher of mine, and there's a big gap in how many kids are interested in this fitness component that we can't offer, not only due to space, but equipment. And when we heard about this opportunity, we just kind of said we would try,
So what was the opportunity you stumbled across?
Actually, Mr. Christopher sent it to us.
Yes.
So the superintendent, I think he got an email about it, and he sent it to us knowing our need for space and for something else for our kids to be fit. And he said, here you guys go for it. So
what did go for it looking like? So what was it? What did he actually send? So it's a state, or it's a...
it was a grant opportunity for a $100,000 Don't Quit Fitness Center. And so we had to, I'm going to let Katie talk about that because she actually took over at this point. Chris and I just said, hey, here's this opportunity, and Katie took over. And so she can tell you about that.
Which way did you run?
Well, at first I kind of came to a complete stop because I'm like, $100,000, like what kind of chance do we actually have? So the parameters of and it's not technically a grant, it's a gift because it's all taxpayer exempt. So we can't ever be taxed on this equipment, anything like that. So they really emphasize it's a gift to your school. But I kind of stopped first because when we first got the application, I only had like 2 weeks to get it in before it was due. And I just kind of looked at Chris and Jen and I was like, do you really think? And they both were so encouraging. They're like, go for it. Like, what do you have to lose? So my first step, I got a hold of a few teachers in the building who are super supportive, kind of asked them like to help me write it out because, being a PE teacher, I'm not the best wordsmith, but they helped me do really well. I got a hold of Tony Lokensoul right away. The website shows you like former winners videos, and I showed him those, and Tony, being Tony, immediately is like, oh, we can blow this out of the water, we can do this. Like, he's like running with all these ideas, and we're like, okay. So,
and that's all we had to submit was a video.
Yeah, you had to submit like some
pictures of the area, correct? I mean, so of the space, but we'll
to make
have
sure
the
it would be
fitness,
like
to be possible. So, but there really wasn't a written application; it was a video.
It was all pretty much facts. And one of the biggest things was it's only for ages 8 through 14 kids. Like your school has to have that age of kids, so it's not eligible for like a high school. And you had to have the space. It couldn't have to be something that was built, and it had to be something that was installed this summer of 2023. So they knew.
Yeah, we have a big wrestling room, and wrestling season is only about 6 weeks long, and so we don't really use that room for much else the rest of the year. And we're like, this is a perfect space. It was the industrial tech space of the building way back, so it was the perfect space, and it had to be a certain size, and it met everything. And so, and then Katie got the kids involved because it's all about the kids, right? I mean, the whole idea of the gift is to have the fittest kids in, the nation. And so Katie got the kids involved, and it was super exciting. So you can kind of explain that process.
Yes. So I tried to pick kids. I only picked 7th graders because they're the ones
that would be able to use it.
Right. And it was like top secret. I'm like, don't tell anybody, But I tried to.
And that makes it way more cool, right?
Yes,
there. Right?
Yes. And I tried to pick kids that, worked really hard in PE, were good students, just kind of embodied what it looks like to be a good Susan Clark student, So we had all kinds of students. I think I had 12 or 13 total. Went through the script with them, and then we took them out of class for about an hour and a half that day. We went to various parts of the building. And they did so good. I mean, they did wonderful. And one of their favorite parts, I only took a small group, but we went over to the Van Heck Center at the high school. And if you watch the video, it's super cute. They are like hands on the glass, like looking really sad at all the equipment.
We don't have anything.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of give the statistics of, our 8th graders who, when the counselors come in, they, sign up for their classes for the high school. And it's crazy. I mean, I think I said 216 or something, over 200 of our current 8th graders, and there's 360.
Yeah.
So over 215 of them signed up because they want intro to weightlifting.
That's like 2/3. That's
Yeah.
like
It's crazy.
There's no.
It's crazy.
I'd have to wager a guess. There's no other class that hits that much that's not required.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
A very,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's a popular,
Yeah.
you know,
they
pick
want
for
to
them.
learn how to lift weights, and they want to learn that stuff and just to be exposed to the equipment, you
Right.
know. And because with us, they don't have that exposure at all. So we're really sending them into that 100% unprepared because we don't have access to it. So that was a big part of it. And I touched on, you know, the Y does an awesome job with the WOW class.
Yep.
The
Workout with weights.
Yep, workout with weights. But you have to be a member.
Yep.
That's not accessible for everyone. And the class sizes are very small.
Yep.
Because it's a very interpersonal class, which is great. It should
Yep.
be.
Right.
But it doesn't reach everybody. Where when getting this in our building, hopefully we can reach everybody, all of our students.
Yep.
And they had fun with us when they told us that we won the gift. They set us up a little bit because Jake likes to have a little bit of fun. And
Who's
so
Jake?
So Jake, what's his last name?
Jake Steinfeld.
Jake Steinfeld.
So if you know, like Body by Jake.
Body by Jake.
He
Yes.
used to do all the fitness stuff.
That's not
and-
just like some random Jake that happened to be hanging out at the school.
Right,
It's-
right,
yeah,
right.
it's like the old Body by
Oh,
Jake.
Body by Jake. Yeah. So he's all about the fitness.
I wonder what they're going to build.
And so they contacted us and said we had one final interview and that they needed to really kind of clear up some things with our application. So we got down to the library and it was a Zoom meeting and he asked the kids a couple questions and then he looked at them and he said, well, you won. And we're all like, what? We thought, he's like, I like to have fun with people. You guys won. And so it wasn't a finalist interview. It was him having fun with us to tell us we won.
Yeah.
So, and over 75 schools in Iowa, 3 got picked.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you.
obviously.
We're so excited.
So what does the like build out look like? Because like I mean it's June.
Right.
You got
Right. So I believe they're going to come in August to build it.
No,
Or
they're
what?
coming the second week in September.
Oh, second week in
Oh, okay.
September.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have all this summer to kind of get the room ready. The room, like Jen said, is in awesome shape, but we're
Yep.
gonna, kind of repaint it,
Yep.
make it fun, put some decals and stuff. And they have a few things that we have to advertise in the room, like their logo and everything.
Right.
Which I mean, you should.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
gifted this to us.
Right. And then we'll have a ribbon cutting sometime after that in October. So we can't use it until the ribbon cutting. And so they'll come out and do the ribbon cutting with us. So I think, is Kim Reynolds coming, the governor coming
I
for
think
that?
so. Yeah. That's
awesome.
we're so excited. Event.
I'm sure we'll probably be I'd imagine.
Good.
I haven't gotten the email yet, but I'm sure it'll be coming quickly. So this is just awesome. I mean, like, the biggest thing is that it's a resource coming from outside of the community in, from like
Right.
a real logistical hard numbers.
Yeah.
You just added asset. Oh, there.
Sorry about that.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Hi,
Oh.
Whitney.
Hi, Whitney.
And Joanne here just asked, will this be open? But you kind of touched on it.
Yes.
And no, Whitney, I am not going to continue eating things like box so you can like take pictures and screenshots of me stuffing things in my face.
That's
Isn't-
Whitney for you.
Isn't local TV fun?
Yes.
It
Yes.
is. So what were we just saying? Like it's a free $100,000 asset that you guys just went and got with doing what you do every day. I mean, the resources that were here with you guys, the room, Tony, and creative use of the kids, pulling everybody in, that's what works. And so, I mean, it's cool just because, okay, yeah, it's this thing, but what excites me as much or even more about it is it's a problem-solving thing, right? Like, it's everything that we teach kids, we want to teach kids to do by the time they graduate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how do you solve problems? How do you go out and actively make change happen? Like that sort of a thing. And like, you literally just did it and modeled it for them. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And something that was really important to me, just on the PE side of this too, is PE has evolved so much over the years, and it's so funny. Even, I mean, this is my 11th year, and I don't get it quite as much, but you know, one of the first things that a lot of parents come in and say to us, like on that first night before, you know, the back to school nights and whatever, is, oh, do they still have to shower in PE, change out in PE? Do they still have to wear, you know, silly things like that? There's just such a negative image of physical education from people's lives, you know, back when, and it has evolved so much. And my goal as a PE teacher is to make it fun for everybody, accessible for everybody. It's not just roll out the ball. And this is a whole different side to learn, you know, this is a lifelong fitness thing. Like, it doesn't have to always be a game. It can be, what are you interested in? How can you learn, you know, it's you against you, like set a goal.
You mean it's not all floor hockey getting slammed into
Correct.
bleacher walls by Herb Holler? It's
Right,
not all that.
right.
Correct.
I remember that, those days.
Now, here's the thing. I'll admit, I love that. I will have to say there was a point where I actually, if you look at my high school yearbook, when it says, what do you want to be? It actually says PE teacher.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. Huh. You know, Tim Armstrong, Herb Holler, John Each, you know, a lot of those guys were absolute idols of mine. Like, so yeah, it's cool, and it is nice to see the change. 'Cause like, I had fun in gym, but I know everybody didn't. You know what I mean?
And we still offer the typical games. We still play all the games, but this is just going to cycle kids through another side of fitness. And this is something that's lifelong, because as an adult, how much kickball do you play?
Absolutely not.
How much dodgeball do you play? But do you go to the Y? Do you use any fitness equipment?
Racquetball 3 times a week.
Right. So this is something that we hope that just builds that foundation and maybe sparks something in them to say, like, oh, I do kind of enjoy this, or I did learn how to do this. So. And
that's 90% of your battle is like just getting them that spark. Like, and that's really no better way to describe it. But just get them that little thing that makes them interested in something enough to go find their thing, right?
Right.
Because I would imagine, but it would be really easy to want to push kids towards the things you like, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what a teacher does, right? And that's across all subjects, right? Like, you know, I think sometimes that parents, and I've heard this before, where parents are like, oh, they're trying to teach this or that or what. I'm like, they're not. Like, every teacher I know and have ever met does a tremendous job of, like, leaving it at the door, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, whatever their, you know, is, that stays there, and you just go teach the kids what they need to know, because that's why they're there. Like, nobody does it to be rich, right? Like, nobody goes in going, you know what? I think that's actually why I didn't do it.
Right. Nobody goes in and puts a paycheck into teaching.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's great to see you guys model it and have a great outcome and have them participate in it so they can see it. So.
And I would also say that it's just a testament to our teachers too. I knew Katie would run with us. I knew she would do a great job, and just her passion for fitness and having a great PE program at Susan Clark was just evident with how she just took it, ran with it, and then we got it. I mean, I probably didn't have, I wasn't like, oh, are we going to get it? I was sure we were going to get it. I kept telling Katie, we're going to get this, and then we did. I was so excited, but really it's a testament to our teachers, you know, and our teachers want to do things like this for our kids. We have a great staff and great teachers that want to give our kids every experience that they can. And we want junior high to be an experience for them. We want them to walk away going, that was an experience 2 years.
Yeah.
Positive, we hope.
Yes. Yes. Positive.
Maybe a little different than the old Central days. And that's, you know, one of the things that is really cool about this also is you realized you couldn't do it by yourself, right?
Right,
like,
yeah.
That was the first thing you went to is like, and I do this with my son who's going to be in 6th grade now. Okay, it's okay not to know how to do everything.
Right.
It's not okay to just like wing it and hope, like, that's when you ask for help. It's when you go get the experts and then you listen to them and you pull it all together, right? And again, that's exactly what you did. So, awesome example for the community all around. So.
Thank you.
We're really excited.
We are very, very excited.
Make sure you let us know when it'll be, and
Yep.
we'll make sure everybody knows, and we'll have pictures, and we'll have all that fun stuff.
Awesome.
And
We're excited to share that time with you guys.
yeah, so thank you very much for stopping in.
Yeah.
And Muscatine, we actually won't be here tomorrow, but we will be here Wednesday for you. We'll see you then.